All right, here we go. And away we go. It's a Monday, and that means it's a reaction Monday. What do you want to react to? Huh? My goodness. My goodness. The things look different to you than they did on Friday or Thursday, as it were last week on this show. Do you feel a little different after the weekend's results? Where are you right now on all this? How do you feel? What are people saying? What's the buzz? Get in here and let me know on this Reaction Monday. I'm Matt in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau Insurance, go with the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau Insurance. All across the great state of Mississippi, your hometown heroes, that's your local Farm Bureau Insurance agents. I'm Matt. Beaver is here. You are here. So we got the whole gang. And we can go any direction you want to go with it. Show's in your lap on a Monday. Whatever you want to talk about is cool with me here in the Bureau. And you can be a part of the show. Lots of different ways to do that. You can comment on the live stream. Hey to you. If you're on Facebook or YouTube or X, formerly Twitter, just type in a comment there, post it, and then I see it. All in one nice, neat column. We can make it a part of the show that way. Also, text me on the Country Pleasing text line. The number to text is 885-3776. Got it? That's a 601 number, 885-3776. And you can also call me on the Junction phone. Junction delis all across the state of Mississippi. Yep, fueled by Prince Oil Company. Number to call is 897-1059. 601 number. 897-1059. Gene commented on Facebook. He said, good grief, with 3 exclamation points. It just made me think, when you say good grief, oh, good grief, it makes me think of Charlie Brown. As we were joking a few weeks ago, Gene, that, you know, State had these close losses and like the overtime thing with Texas. And we said it's like Lucy pulling the football away from Charlie Brown every time. And so that was going to be, you know, until State won a game, it was going to be the de facto fight song. Well, then they beat Arkansas. And so he didn't do that anymore. I mean, and now, does it even apply now? I don't know. Jared also commented on Facebook. He said, Ahmad Hardy for Heisman. You know, but there's, yes. Okay, first of all, that kid can play for anybody in the country. And the fact that there are real college coaches who looked at it and said, no, not big enough. Not fast enough. It just shows you how unscientific, inaccurate, subjective the recruiting process can be, right? Because that guy was phenomenal. And, you know, he's playing behind a really good offensive line who's deep and physical, and they look like you're supposed to look on the line of scrimmage as an SEC team. And they're really consistent too. The inconsistencies that Missouri had was more of the discipline nature, kind of like Arkansas, just not to the same extent. But physically, they're pretty good. And that kid's really good. From Lawrence County, Mississippi, went to Louisiana Monroe, and then rushes for 300 yards against State the other night. Like a dead 300, pulled him out of the game. And it was obvious they had him in the game to get him to 300, and they did. And they knew they could. It's just a matter of getting the carries. So hats off to him. 300 yards rushing. One guy. I told Jay and Neil, they probably would attest to this. I said, y'all, this is before the game. We were just sitting around the press box. I said, if we hold them to less than 300 yards rushing today, I'll be really impressed. Didn't happen. So needless to say, I wasn't impressed. Old Tackle says on YouTube, as the late, great John Madden probably said, quote, that's just bad football. Man, was it ever more ugly. Hey, and Melissa commented on X, and she said, congrats on winning the turkey toss. We had yesterday, I left, what's this, about this time yesterday. I was still driving in from Missouri. So I left in time early yesterday morning to get back to Tupelo in time for a 3 p.m. Turkey Bowl. I think it's what it's called, Turkey Bowl. And what it is, every year leading up to, or maybe the week before Thanksgiving, right around that time, our church has a flag football game out at, the soccer fields, Ballard Park, as parents versus a youth. And I was, I played quarterback for the parents team, and we had 2 games, and we played 4 quarters. It was a long day. We finished up right as it was getting dark. But I made it back in time for that. And so parents, First Baptist Church Tupelo, parents versus the older youth, which was like 10, 11th, and 12th graders. We won that one like 50 something to 40 something. And then we had to play 4 quarters against the like 8th and 9th graders team. And we beat them 50 something to 40 something. So I would like to say that the streak at First Baptist Church Tupelo of the parents winning the Turkey Bowl continues. And this is my first year to be in on it. There is no doubt that some of us, many of us, taking Advil and Tylenol and looking at, we got one guy, there's no doubt he's going to need physical therapy. He did battle with the ground, play after play after play. So I'm hoping, that's Josh. I'm hoping he's okay. His family, like, and he's got a daughter, Mary Liddy's age, and she said, Daddy's not going to be able to move tomorrow. I'm just telling you, he won't be able to move. So I'm going to have to call and check on him later, maybe. Yeah, but we won it. Won the games. That's all that matters. Let's see. Country pleasing text line. First up, Humphreys County Dog, right out of the chutes. He texts the show. Says, shout out to Matt Wyatt. No way I could watch Mississippi State and call the game on the radio and be professional after watching the product they displayed on the field. Well, and let's say this, Humphreys County. We've seen it before, but against the better teams they've played here later in the year, particularly these last 2, Georgia and Missouri, but even the run defense against Arkansas, you could include that too and extrapolate it out to that it's like watching last year's defense in some regards. Now, and the other night after Missouri's first 2 series, I didn't want to say it, but I did say it out loud. It's like you're not even on the field. I mean, there's just no resistance whatsoever to their first 2 touchdown drives. It's like watching last year's defense. But then the State's defense got a foothold and began to make some plays and created a turnover. So they do some good things. So this is the deal with me. When you start looking at those mistakes, the goal line offense, snapping it off somebody's knee, turning it over that way, you hold them to a field goal. Defense finally held them to a field goal. You jump off sides on the kickoff. A field goal block unit, give them a free first down. They score the next play. State looks like a team. They do some of the bigger things and the cool things really well. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're pretty explosive in the pass game, and they make great catches, and they have all these completions deep down the field. And, defensively, they create a lot of turnover. I think they still probably either lead or close to leading the SEC in interceptions. So there's a lot of these big, exciting things that they do pretty well. But unlike good teams, Humphreys County Dog, the mundane, what are supposed to be simple things, fundamental things, the easy plays, they're not consistent in any of that. And I'm not making a comparison of Mullen. I'm just saying I remember Mullen making this comment over and over while he was coaching. And it used to be about, most of the time it was in the context of talking about quarterback play. But he would say, it's not about having those 1 or 2 or 3 highlight plays in a game and being able to make that highlight play. He said winning at quarterback is about all the mundane, normal, easy plays. You do all those right all the time. It's like what he's saying is if you were to just narrow it down, Humphreys County, and look at quarterback position, and this kind of goes for the whole team, but look at the quarterback. Okay. The quick slant, the completion on the bubble screen. Okay. Throwing the 5-yard hitch. Really about winning and being a good player is how consistently you do all of that. Can we run? If I get the tape and I look at the last 50 times we threw a quick slant, how often in those 50 plays did you make the right read and make the right throw and make an accurate throw? Well, it should be 50 out of 50 because that's the easy plays, right? And if you were in that realm, you're going to be fine. But you'll see some quarterbacks. I'm getting to a point. Hang on. You'll see some quarterbacks that, man, they come out of a game, they got 4 or 5 highlight play. Like, wow, look at this. Look at his highlight deal. But if I go back and look, it's all these easy, mundane reads where I'm late on this read. This one, like Van Buren last year as a freshman trying to throw slants. He's 50-50, and they're wide open 3-step slants. You can't miss those. You just can't miss them. Sometimes you complete it. Other times I bounce it off his heel. Right? Like to win and be effective at quarterback, it's really all about how boringly but just steadfastly consistent are you in all the mundane, easy stuff that you're supposed to just be able to count on. And that's really the guts of the position. Well, if you, again, extrapolate it out across the whole team, you know what good teams do, Humphreys County? Yes, they have great players, okay? But they don't miss on all the stuff that's just there. They make their fair share of big plays. They don't jump off sides when you hold them to, field goal after a turnover. We don't have bad snaps on field goal unit. We don't get a first down inside the opponent's 25-yard line and then have back-to-back false starts with the same guy. It's like all of the mundane, the teams that are tightly wound, that do a lot of winning, we don't recognize it, but when you watch the film, the reason they're doing a lot of that winning is because all of the little details that seem minute and seem insignificant, the easy plays, they are so consistent at all that stuff that it's almost boring. That's what the winning teams do. But you see some teams like State, they're sitting here 5 wins and they've been very explosive, as many or more 40-yard pass plays as anybody in the country. You've kicked long field goals, 50 plus at one time of the year. You're leading the SEC in interceptions defensively. You know what I'm saying? Like there's some of these wow things. You go pop. Oh, we got this potential and everything. Well, the problem is all the other things are like all the other little details have frayed edges. Like it's obvious we, do, but when you're not consistent in all those little mundane, easy things, what's supposed to be easy. And that's why you're losing games. That's why you unravel against good teams. I mean, that's what's happened against like Georgia and against Missouri, and what happened after halftime again at Texas A&M. What happened in the fourth quarter against Texas is because you get down to it, those teams have all the minor details and things ironed out, frankly, and they are just so consistent in them, and State's not. And they've come unwound. And so I hope, does that make sense? Do you kind of get what I'm saying there? Tell me if I'm being stupid, but I wonder if you understand what I'm saying. Nick texted the show. He said, if not for a 17-point choke job by Arkansas, Levy is 0-15 in SEC play, staring 0-16 in the face. State needs to decide if they are a serious program or not. He says, if they run back the same staff, we're going to have our answer. And he says, this isn't 10 years ago where you have to give a coach 4 years to develop. Dillingham flipped Arizona State in year 2. Mullen is 8-2 in year 1 at UNLV. Neither of those have the resources that State has. Coaching matters. Well, Nick, I basically like 98% agree with everything you said there. Now, I'm sorry, but this is the truth. Coaching now Mullen's different because we've seen him do it before, but you know this. Coaching a UNLV to an 8-2 versus their schedule is a whole lot different than coaching a team to a bunch of wins against Mississippi State's schedule. You know, so the thing about like saying, well, so-and-so out there has got, you know, a good team at UNLV, you know, I can't, it's almost like not even comparing the same levels of football. I bet behind a closed door, Mullen would probably even tell you that. But I get your point. And you are right that this isn't 10 years ago where it takes 4 years to turn something around with a bunch of recruiting classes. And so, Nick, I will say this. Okay, and you probably are going to nod your head and agree, go, yeah, okay, that's what I'm getting at. Listen, you know, a state is not, from a game management and coaching standpoint overall, they are not as consistent from a decision-making standpoint as they need to be in some areas. That's true. And at one point during the game the other night, we were in a break. It might have been halftime or something. And I was talking to Jay and Neil, and I said out loud, I said, I mean, how many millions of dollars does it take to turn your team around completely on the line of scrimmage from one year to the next? Offensive line and defensive line, not just defensive line. How much money does it take? Like, figure out. Now, this is me going on now. That's the question I asked them the other day. Now I'm saying, figure out. I mean, really, are we saying that it's going to take an extra $20 million somewhere to totally stack your offensive and defensive lines so as to have a good team, considering where State was trying to come out of when Levy took the job? Because that's the other part of it, Nick. There was nobody in the country that was farther down in the bottom of the pit to try to get him out of than State was when Levy came in there. But no, you don't need 4 years, but you do need a pile of money. We are in a pay-for-play deal. Listen to me, Nick. All the good players have agents. All those agents are trying to get themselves and their players, and therefore themselves, big paydays either at the school they are at or at some other one who might pay it that needs them. That's what's going on. So my question is, how much are you going to have to spend? And you say, they got to decide, are they serious about football? Well, here's the other thing you have to decide. We're in a position with where we are, where to get people to come here, the kind that's going to take, the multiples kind that's going to take, is we have to overspend. We're going to have to overspend. Well, how much and what is the number? And then be honest about it. And then you go, well, we can't afford that. We don't have that. I can't raise that. Or we can do it. We can come up with that money. And then it's, do we really want to do that? Because I'm just telling you, the two teams you just played, Georgia and Missouri, the two that lined up on the line of scrimmage and whipped you physically, pretty much. All right. Those two teams, they've got a whole lot more money invested in their roster. So part of my deal is, yeah, coaching, 100%. Don't go for it down there in that situation on fourth down. That's one that wasn't, you don't classify that as being aggressive. That's being a little bit careless with the situation in the game. There was so much time left to score. Defense had finally figured some things out. You got to let them play, kick it away. You can't turn it over to, you know what I'm saying? Okay, decision, sure. From a preparation standpoint, having some things, like Nick Saban says, we've practiced it so much to the point we can't get it wrong. It's not that we practice it till we get it right. It's we as a team have practiced it so much we can't get it wrong. That's what I'm talking about, having every little thing ironed out. And the good teams have that. Okay, coaching, sure, he can be better. But what I'm saying is, you know what else you're going to have? Players. And a bunch of them. And no, say this out loud. No, state did not make the decision to go borrow money, millions of dollars, and borrow it to build the roster and get in on this thing with the idea that it'll pay itself back later. It'll benefit us, and we'll turn it up, we'll pay that off. Almost like borrowing money and investing it in something. State made the decision not to do that. Lots of schools made the decision not to do that. A couple decided to. And they didn't. But you're going to have to do it. I mean, I heard about all the and I saw all the new faces and all the millions and millions that they had to spend after last year just to get it to where it is now on the line of scrimmage. And you're still in a position where a couple of injuries in, you're converting defensive linemen to play offensive guard. What's the number? All I'm saying, I'm not making an excuse for poor decision-making from a coaching perspective at all. The state's had its fair share of that. But I'm lumping in there with it. You want to spend $35 million on your team to get it in the top half? Because you go, well, others aren't spending that. Others don't have to overspend right now. You may have to. Back after this.
We'll be right back.
Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi. Local agents in all 82 counties. So here's what that means. You have that fender bender, hopefully you don't, but let's say you do at an odd time. Something goes on. It's Saturday night at 11 p.m. You don't have to wait until Monday morning to call some 800 number and talk to someone 3 states away. You've got your agent's phone number right there on your phone because you go to church with him. Your kids go to school together. He lives right down the road. You see each other at the ball games on Friday nights. So it's personal with your local Farm Bureau insurance agent in all 82 counties in this entire state. And if anything does arise and you need to, run it up the chain or up the flagpole, the home offices for Farm Bureau Insurance are in Jackson, Mississippi. It's right here in the state of Mississippi. It doesn't get more local than and personal, the service that you get with Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi. I can't recommend them highly enough. And if you haven't, recently, let them give you a quote. Home, life, auto. It's Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Well, look at what we have here. Christmas come early. Boom. Little green onion country pleasing. That's not all. Little original smoked sausage flavor. That's not all. Jalapeno and cheddar. It has to be one of my favorite, just judging by how much of that stuff I eat. Oh, can't forget. Andouille. Don't be saying andouille, it's andouille. And last, but not least, pork and pineapple. Bun size, 3 links bun size. Look at that right there. Be careful. Come on with it. It's mine. Come here, jalapeno. Oh, that's all mine. Country pleasing sausage. We'll be right back after this message from C Spire. My name is Matt Wyatt. I host the Matt Wyatt radio show out of my home using C Spire fiber.
And when we hit the road as a family, Matt's show goes with us, thanks to C Spire Wireless.
Its ultra-reliable nationwide network lets me broadcast live from anywhere.
And never miss a moment that matters. connecting you to what inspires you most on C Spire's blazing fast 5G network. And right now, get your choice of free phone. That's customer inspired. That's C Spire.
Y'all like coffee?
I know you do.
Check it out. Little High Point Roasters from New Albany, Mississippi. That is the breakfast blend. It's whole bean. And if you notice, that's how much I've had already. Brazil Oberon. Not Orgeron or Orgeron, you LSU. No, Brazil Oberon. That ain't all. What we got there? What flavor is that? Papua New Guinea, grade AA. Bring it on. High Point Roasters, New Albany, Mississippi. Roast it right there. That's whole bean. One more. I got more. Ah, tried and
59.com.
Ba, 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 ba. Back with you. I'm Matt in the Bureau, the Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team. They are your home team. Tons to get to. And I'm getting to a few of the messages that are coming in on the live stream. Jared and Brad, Rick and Steve and everybody on Facebook, Lewis and Danny, and everybody on YouTube. Old Tackle, I heard from him a bit ago. I'm sure we'll get Sven in here at some point today. And then on the text line, coming to you, Millwood, real unnamed, Jason in Arizona, QB1, True Maroon, Nick, unnamed, Boomer Sooner, coming to y'all. Let me say something real quick. You heard what I said before the break. Like, what's the number? Okay, I mean, look at it just very pragmatically, let's look at it like accountants, Nick. Do you think like there's X player out here who has no real allegiance to any school? He and his agent are looking for the best financial deal. Okay. Do you think if Georgia offers that player X number of dollars to come play football, you think State can offer the same amount of money and that's player choose State over Georgia for the same amount of money? They're State and Georgia offering the same amount of money to a player. Who's the player going to choose? Okay, you got to overspend. That's what I mean too, right down to the individual. So you got to manage all that too. And I'm not someone who knows what the number is. Like on an annual basis, what can you sort of count on having to spend on players? Okay, what is that? Because what I'm saying is, whatever that baseline is, I want to know how much over that are you going to have to do over the next couple of years if you want to get it good again? Okay. Do you need to do the Ole Miss model and go find somebody to loan you the money and try your best to cash it in? You know, some of that may come down to the belief in the coach. All those things are real factors. And here's what I'm getting at. And then I'm going to read your text. All those things are real factors. And what I'm saying, and I have said from day one, and if you listen to this show, I don't have to beat you over the head with it because you've heard me. I've been beating you over the head with it since day one to the point you're sick of it. I'm sure at times turn the channel because of it. None of this money stuff is good. Oh, well, Matt, tell that to the kid and his family who are getting $500,000 this year to play football. Okay, fine. Got it. But what I'm telling you is long-term, even for the recipients of that money, being lulled into this idea that you get $500,000 to play football, but you don't have any strings attached and you don't have any sort of contract. You don't have any sort of your end of the bargain to hold up through a contractor for 3 or 4 years, the way you do in the NFL or any other walk or area of life. And as soon as you spin that, we just go knock on the NIL guy's door and ask him for some more. You think that's real? You think that's a lesson that's going to pay off down the road? I got news for you. No. You think, frankly, being paid to come play football somewhere with no accountability and not even made to go to school. So on your own accord, you don't even have to get an education to play college football. Hey, run, tell them I said it. Will you hear anybody on the big box media say that? I'm telling you it, and it's true. Whole bunch of athletes, they're not even going to school. Don't have to. Is that good for them? No. And I've been telling you since day one, all this stuff is not good. And one of the reasons you get here, is because you have a whole bunch of quote unquote leaders who would be terrified to make it, to even say it, let alone make a decision that might hurt their own personal bottom line on their paycheck. To heck with doing what's maybe best for everybody, forcing that, and maybe having to fight it out in court. Let's just go along with it because I like what I get on the 1st and the 15th. And the last thing I'm going to do is mess with that. But hey, I'm a leader, baby. I'm a leader. Let me just tell you, it's a mess. It is a mess. And everybody's worshiping their coach and worshiping their teams that are, having some success right now. And even they are pulling their hair out behind the scenes trying to figure out who's on a team next year. Coaches picking up the phone and calling their pay-for-play guy and saying, hey, here's a lineman over here at such and such school who wants $600,000. Coach, I know, okay, that's great. I'm sure he's a great player, but we don't really have it. And the coach says, well, I know you'll find it. Click. Listen, buddy, what I'm telling you is, and Nick, this is not a rant at you because I told you, I basically agree with everything you said. But what I can't tear away from, Nick, the reality of what you said, going, Levy and State, they're an Arkansas choke job away from being 0-16 in these 2 years. They got to decide if they're serious about it or not. 100% agree with that. But when you say serious, what are we talking about? One, you're going to have to overspend to get every player you get. Two, how much is that? Three, do you want to do it? Can you gather up $35 million to try to stack things on the line of scrimmage for a few years and retain quarterbacks and receivers and skill people? Because that's what you're looking at. Millwood texts the show. He said 300 yards rushing. Backup QB, we were awful. Missouri was on a scale of 1 to 10 physicality. For the majority of the game, Missouri was like a 9 and State was about a 3. Jason in Flagstaff says, I went back and looked going back to Arkansas and minus the sacks, State's giving up 7 yards of carry on defense. QB1 said, AKA, we got Jimmys and Joes and not X's and O's. Well, no, a State, like from an offensive stand, they don't have an X's and O's problem. And, people, I will tell you this too, and I'm not trying to sound smart. Maybe it doesn't, but X's and O's on defense is way overrated because there's just only so many things you can do. There's only so many ways you can line up within the rules on defense. It's just not as complicated as people make it out to be. The really good ones disguise stuff and never really show you what they're doing until it's too late. But True Maroon text the show said, some people just don't think. If we fire Levy, who are you going to get? Somebody said, for a minute, I forgot about how the season has gone for State. At the beginning of the year, what did you expect them to be as far as their record? Yeah, and I think that's the question for a lot of people. Sitting at 5 wins, you had another game left, and everybody favored it. And you look at some of the teams you've lost to, who you think's got more? Answer this question for me. Who's got more money spent on their players, Tennessee or Mississippi State? Texas or Mississippi State? Georgia versus Mississippi State? Missouri. By the way, if you haven't seen Missouri's facilities, they are serious about it. I was really impressed with theirs. And also, Missouri fans, I didn't know they did that sort of thing. They were a 6-win team going to that deal. Missouri's fans were packed out around that place, tailgating at like 10 a.m. I'm serious, like 11 a.m. for a 6:45 p.m. game. I had no idea that Missouri fans were that way. I just didn't know. James from Amory texted the show. He said, also, if Kiffin does leave Ole Miss for Florida, does he take Joe Judge with him, or is there a possibility we could bring him in to play that same role for Lebby? I don't know, but my personal opinion of Joe is if you can get him in your building, get him in your building. That's my, always has been. Joe is someone who I strongly believe in. He's just the right kind of guy. Yep. And to whatever degree, there's no question he has a role in their success over there. I think if they didn't realize that, he'd probably be somewhere else. It might be. They probably realize it. Somebody texted in and said, my guess would be 5 to 7 million more than you're spending now to be competitive on both lines of scrimmage. Maybe so. Yeah, that could be it. And see, when you say be competitive, it's a combination of spending it and evaluating well. And in the third tier, doing some developing and coaching when they get there. It's like a 3-tiered thing. There's a lot of schools out there that are spending money that are not evaluated. They've misevaluated. So there is some stuff that goes into it, but it starts with how much you have to spend. Because under a certain threshold, it's over. You can just chalk it up. I hate it. More of your comments, your texts, and your calls coming up back after this.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
The Junction Deli's, convenience redefined, and Prince Oil Company, a match made in heaven. The Junction Deli, fueled by Prince Oil Company. Prince Oil Company has been fueling Central Mississippi since 1960. It's a pretty good little while. Wonderful people. Man, am I ever more tickled that they're a part of the show and I'm a part of their team now. As you know, if you've listened to the radio show, I've been to the Junction in several different places around the state. I've bought gas just like you at a lot of places that are fueled by Prince Oil Company, and they are really wonderful people. By the way, that brand spanking new Junction Deli, Chevron, right across the highway from Germantown High School. It's in Canton. We say Gluckstadt. Do you realize they and other Junction Delis, they serve country pleasing sausage over there on the buffet? They don't get much better than that. The Junction and Prince Oil Company. That's what I'm talking about. We'll be right back after this message from C Spire. My name is Matt Wyatt. I host the Matt Wyatt radio show out of my home using C Spire fiber.
And when we hit the road as a family, Matt's show goes with us, thanks to C Spire Wireless.
Its ultra-reliable nationwide network lets me broadcast live from anywhere.
And never miss a moment that matters.
Connecting you to what inspires you most on C Spire's blazing fast 5G network. And right now, get your choice of free phone. That's customer inspired. That's C Spire.
Welcome to my photography studio downtown Tupelo. Everybody needs a headshot, especially if you're in the professional world, in sales, any sort of customer related business, outreach business, anything like that. Everybody needs a headshot. Here at my photography studio in Tupelo, we do a lot more than just headshots, but we're kind of focusing on headshots for that very reason, because everybody needs it. Let me show you a little something about it. One thing I'm able to do here is sort of have 2 to 3 different looks in a small space that we can do in a short amount of time. Several different looks and styles of lighting with studio equipment, studio lighting. Some with flash, and a particular look that I've worked on, a constant lighting scenario where you sit down, the lights are already on, you lean in, and we kind of illuminate the whole face. And we get several options in the studio in a short amount of time. Here's 2 priorities for me when I shoot headshots. One is it has to look like you. Okay, none of this fake stuff. The other goal is it's got to look like you at your best. And that's my job as a photographer. And I've got a lot of experience over the years, and I feel really confident I can do that for you. I would love to schedule a session for you here at the studio in downtown Tupelo. I'm above the Reed's Gift Shop, just off of Troy Street, the corner of Troy and Spring. If you can't get to Tupelo, that's okay. Let's talk about it, because we can pack the studio up and come to you if the schedules fit and that sort of thing. I'd love to help you with your headshots. I think everybody needs them. I'm inviting you to please email me, reach out. You can go to my website, mattwhyattmedia.com, email address matt@mattwhyattmedia.com, and let's talk about your headshot. Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi, local agents in all 82 counties. So here's what that means. You have that fender bender, hopefully you don't, but let's say you do, at an odd time. Something goes on. It's Saturday night at 11 p.m. You don't have to wait until Monday morning to call some 800 number and talk to someone 3 states away. You've got your agent's phone number right there on your phone because you go to church with him. Your kids go to school together. He lives right down the road.
.com.
Back with you. Jared said watching State against Hardy the other night reminded him how State looked last year against Scattaboo. It's about right. About right. Brad said special teams got to step up. Yeah, they're not. It's not tightly wound enough, is it? In every scenario, they do some good things, but not enough. Joseph on Facebook said, I know this, since Fluff Bothwell got hurt, he hasn't been the same. Our defense puts no pressure on a quarterback. Terrible and sad. We got to do better at recruiting. Need a mobile quarterback. Let's see. Rick, Facebook, said, not sure that it was Hardy being so great or that he was playing such an ugly, terrible, bad, disciplined defense. Defensively it helped. Certainly the way the game started. Yeah, and a couple of the runs, I know the big 70+ yard run, it was a cutback deal. It's zone one way, doing a little bit of what Georgia did to you, and that is motion and formation to kind of get you. You're basically leaning one way or the other based on the strength of their formation, or their motion moves you. And it's not just straight running it back the other way, but a lot of times intentionally you go inside zone with the idea that you block that backside, and if there's no contain, then you have that cutback lane. And they had that multiple times. But on some of those runs, man, you go back and watch it, and it's no resistance. It's like State did some good things, but too often Missouri would run a run play. It's just straight up zone blocking, where you got 1, maybe 2 combos happening up to linebackers, depending on your defensive front. You snap the ball, handoffs made, and they've moved this thing 5 yards across the line of scrimmage. I mean, there were way too many plays. It was a mauling going on up front. Danny on YouTube said, Hail State, Matt, why did Coach Levy go for it on 4th and 4 from the own 18? Still shaking my head over that one. Yeah, I think for me, too, it's just 2-score game, lots of time left. It was 12 minutes left, 13 minutes left in the game. So it seemed too early for that, particularly on that part of the field. But the other side of it is too, I mean, if you're going to throw it in that scenario, there's one thing you can't do, and that is throw it outside the hashes and get it picked. It's the only thing you can't do. You know, you can go incomplete. You can run and not get it. You can, complete it, not get it. You can complete it and get it. There's a million other things you as a quarterback can allow to happen. But when your coach says go for it, and you're on your own 18 in a 2-score game, even if you don't get it, okay, and they take over at the 18, your defense has a chance to at least hold them to a field goal. So you have one thing you must not do, and that is, frankly, in any sort of traffic at all, in that scenario, what you don't do as a quarterback is turn it loose outside the hashes, because you have fewer people out there and they don't have to go that far to score. You see what I mean? So it was a bad call. They should not have. Look at you. You just got to punt right there and play defense. But if you're the quarterback and it gets called, the only thing that you can't allow to happen is what happened. Is you throw it left or right outside the hash. You got fewer people in case it is picked. There is traffic. You throw it in traffic and it's picked, and there they go. So it's kind of a big no-no. Let's see here. I got a little ahead of myself. So we got Jason, QB1. Unnamed texter said, what am I looking at right there? Aggies plus 10.5, IDK, LOL, at UT, but I don't know what that's about. I'm missing the point of what that's about. So that's on me. True Maroon texted and said, some people just don't think if we fire Libby. Oh, we read that one already. Yeah, got it. Boomer Sooner texted and said, Matt, I have a question for all the state fans calling for coaches' jobs. How much money are you personally going to pony up to buy out contracts, hire new staff, and pay for more and better players? Winning ain't cheap. Speaking of that, Boomer Sooner, tip of the cap to you for the winning, huh? I mean, what a weekend. Go to Tuscaloosa, a top 10 tussle in Tuscaloosa, and win. Huge win for Oklahoma. Told you earlier this year, best win of the year for Ole Miss is that win at Oklahoma, and it ain't close. They don't even have anything close. Ole Miss has played two good teams. They're 1-1. Georgia and Oklahoma. I'm serious. Look at their schedule. They've played two good teams. Ole Miss will play two good teams all year. And they lost to Georgia, which anybody could lose to them. And they beat Oklahoma on the road. Let's see. Unnamed texter said, looks like MSU decided to go all in for baseball. This is Don. Don said it looks like they decided to go all in for baseball, and you can't afford football and baseball too. Maybe. I don't know. I really don't know. I know that they're in on baseball. I don't really know exactly how that works and if it detracts from football or not. Moose Dog text the show. How does HBC Kentucky State cancel a game against Delta State and they get the playoff nod over Delta State? The answer is in the question. Oh, I see what you're saying. I didn't know that happened. I honestly didn't know that happened. James from Amory said, does it force Selman's hand as far as Levy moving forward if we come out and get thumped in the Egg Bowl? No, there's no scenario. I've said it all year long. Listen, y'all, I mean, outside of some weird thing off the field or something, there is no scenario where you're firing Jeff Levy. Not happening isn't a scenario. They can lose 60-0 in that Egg Bowl. And let me tell you something. If they play the way they did against Missouri, they might lose 60-0 in that Egg Bowl if they play that way. And they get 2 weeks to try to heal up and get ready. But they could lose 60-0 egg. They're not making a coaching change. It's not happening. It's not in the cards. RT texted the show. And on the fourth down situation, he says maybe Levy wasn't good at math. Possum Neck Joe, he said St. Jude and Wounded Warriors are just asking for $19 a month. What's your limit, Matt? 100 million? 200 million? Hey, it's an excellent point, Joe. Joe, you have a good point. What's the Bible say? Where a man's treasure is, theirs is. You're going to find his heart also. And there's a little vice versa going on in there also. But yeah. Mm-hmm. Football, man. Football. Oh, they love us. The TV people love us. Football. I've been telling you. You can look around. You can find it. There's a whole lot of people that go to church on Saturday, not on Sunday. Tithe and offering. Worship. God with a little g. Josh. He texted in. He said, going forward on that 4th down on your own 18 with 13 minutes to play was the worst in-game decision I've seen since calling a pass play on 2nd down when you're in position to kick a game-winning field goal. Thanks for the text, Josh. The country pleasing text line, country pleasing sausage on grocery store shelves all over the Southeast. Bama fan said, is this all on the same day? Okay. Yeah. He said, Matt, they just need to go to a draft. 60-player roster, no scholarships. See, but the thing about that, Bama fan, is you're approaching it from from the old sports mindset of, we have certain leagues and people in those leagues are on a pretty level playing field. And therefore it makes it competitive and fun to watch. And that's just not how college sports is. And they've already relieved the roster limits you did have. So they're certainly not going to go to less. He says, or they need to take the top 30 teams. They want to spend the most money, let them play for a championship. And all the other teams can do the traditional college scholarship thing. No pay for play, blah, blah, blah. And regarding schedule, he said same with A&M. They played the bottom 7 in the conference. And I know there's a little bit of a catch-22 there also, right? You go, well, these teams are at the bottom of the conference. Well, part of the reasons, 1/6 or 1/7 of the reason those teams are in the bottom of the conference is because they played A&M and A&M beat them. So I understand that argument too, but when you get conferences now as inflated as they are, then the schedules are going to vary greater, which they have. But what are you going to do? Like if you're A&M, if you're Ole Miss, all you can do is play the schedule you have. To their credit, they're winning. They've had no slip-ups. A&M tried to have one on Saturday, but they managed to come back in the second half. Pretty impressive comeback. All right, more of your texts, more of your comments, your calls coming up in hour 2 on this Monday. Back after this.
At C-Spire, we've never waited on the future. We've built it. By harnessing the power of advanced technology to transform how we all live and work, elevating connected living, accelerating tomorrow's business growth, and leading the AI revolution, all while staying true to our core purpose. You think we're done? Just wait. There's more to see. C-Spire, customer inspired.
Briarwood. After these messages, we'll be right back. Yeah. After these messages, we'll be right back.
Well, look at what we have here. Christmas come early. Boom. Little green onion country pleasing. That's not all. Little original smoked sausage flavor. That's not all. Jalapeno and cheddar. It has to be one of my favorite, just judging by how much of that stuff I eat. Oh, can't forget. Andouille. Don't be saying andouille, it's andouille. And last, but not least, pork and pineapple. Bun size, 3 links bun size. Look at that right there. Be careful. Come on with it. It's mine. Come here, jalapeno. Oh, that's all mine. Country pleasing sausage.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Welcome to my photography studio downtown Tupelo. Everybody needs a headshot, especially if you're in the professional world, in sales, any sort of customer related business, outreach business, anything like that. Everybody needs a headshot. Here at my photography studio in Tupelo, we do a lot more than just headshots, but we're kind of focusing on headshots for that very reason, because everybody needs it. Let me show you a little something about it. One thing I'm able to do here is sort of have 2 to 3 different looks in a small space that we can do in a short amount of time. Several different looks and styles of lighting with studio equipment, studio lighting. Some with flash, and a particular look that I've worked on, a constant lighting scenario where you sit down, the lights are already on, you lean in, and we kind of illuminate the whole face. And we get several options in the studio in a short amount of time. Here's 2 priorities for me when I shoot headshots. One is it has to look like you. Okay, none of this fake stuff. The other goal is it's got to look like you at your best. And that's my job as a photographer. And I've got a lot of experience over the years, and I feel really confident I can do that for you. I would love to schedule a session for you here at the studio in downtown Tupelo. I'm above the Reed's Gift Shop, just off of Troy Street, the corner of Troy and Spring. If you can't get to Tupelo, that's okay. Let's talk about it, because we can pack the studio up and come to you if the schedules fit and that sort of thing. I'd love to help you with your headshots. I think everybody needs them. I'm inviting you to please email me, reach out. You can go to my website, mattwyattmedia.com, email address matt@mattwyattmedia.com, and let's talk about your headshot.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi, local agents in all 82 counties. So here's what that means. You have that fender bender, hopefully you don't, but let's say you do at an odd time. Something goes on. It's Saturday night at 11 p.m. You don't have to wait until Monday morning to call some 800 number and talk to someone 3 states away. You've got your agent's phone number right there on your phone because you go to church with him. Your kids go to school together. He lives right down the road. You see each other at the ball games on Friday nights. So it's personal with your local Farm Bureau insurance agent in all 82 counties in this entire state. And if anything does arise and you need to, run it up the chain or up the flagpole, the home offices for Farm Bureau Insurance are in Jackson, Mississippi. It's right here in the state of Mississippi. It doesn't get more local than and personal, the service that you get with Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi. I can't recommend them highly enough. And if you haven't, recently, let them give you a quote. Home, life, auto. It's Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team.
ZipRecruiter.com/free to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
This is Jake Mangum, former Mississippi State Bulldog. I can tell you firsthand how great new things can be. That's why the new auto and life insurance discount from Farm Bureau is so great. It's a new thing from the company that's been setting roots in Mississippi for over 75 years. Visit favrates.com for great rates on home and auto insurance. Or find a local agent at msfbins.com. Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team.
WRKS Pickens Jackson. We are good to go. With more of the Matt Wyatt Show. Coming to you direct and live at the Zone 105.9 and worldwide. Now, here we go. At the Zone 105.9.com.
Back with you.
Hour number 2 off and running in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Lots of ways for you to be a part of the show. Text me on the Country Pleasing text line, 885-3776. 885-3776. Call me on the Junction phone. Number to call, 897-1059. Junction delis all across the great state of Mississippi. They've been fueled by Prince Oil Company, who's been fueling Central Mississippi since 1960. That's a little while. And, of course, comment on the live stream, too. If you're on Facebook or YouTube or X, if you just post a comment there, I'm able to see them all in one place. We'll pop it up on the screen. Joseph on Facebook said state's got to start forking out money. Yeah. And they have been. They made a jump this year. They're going to have to make an equal kind of percentage jump to next year. Rick said on Facebook, but Matt, can you not coach a low-dollar defensive end or outside linebacker to never leave his edge like State did against Hardy and company? Yeah, I mean, sure. Everybody can do some things better, but there's a consistency part of it for State too. You know, I think that's the thing. And it's not like you're playing against a stationary opponent over there. I mean, they're good, but you just have to be able to do things more consistently, better, more often. Let's see. Jared said on Facebook, I've been frustrated with how a lot of our games have gone this year, but considering the strength of schedule from last year to this, we've only been competitive because of Levy putting us into that position. So I don't understand firing Levy. Yeah, it's just not even a real thing, you know, in terms of, you know, possibility or any of that kind of stuff. It's just not even a real thing. MSU 1980 texted the show, and he said, Matt, Ole Miss had 8 home games. No comparison to State's situation. Well, sure. I mean, State's schedule has been tougher, sure. But, you know, Ole Miss has been better against its schedule, which has been lighter than State is against his. That's true. I know those things being, you know, not equal. The schedules are not equal. Ole Miss caught a light schedule, really last 2 years, particularly this year. But here's the thing about it. And you know this, I know you're not arguing against it. You know this, but let's say it. You know, the coaches and players, they have no control over what schedule is. All you can do is play it. Okay. And try to win all your games. And they've, to this point, won all but one. And what I like about this expanded playoff, it's still not big enough for me. Expanded even more is now we don't have to hear teams like throwing a royal fit for getting left out of some minimal playoff because they were right on the edge and they get left out and all this. You know, it's expanded. So now teams that, you know, that were kind of on the bubble or right there and everybody wondered, well, they were getting left out because their schedule was light or, you know, one of their players got hurt, you know, all those kind. Now they're in. So they get what they want, which is to get in and try to prove it against the good teams. And we get kind of what we want is we don't have to listen to the complaining and actually get to watch them play. We get to see with our own eyes were they good enough to be in, you know? So I think that is one of the good things about the expanded playoff, but it needs to be more than 12. You know, the farther we go and we're in this full on era now where I can see it so much clearly than I could before of it's nothing but college football and basketball for that matter is nothing but a professional kind of minor league. I mean, that's what it is. It's connected to colleges, but it's not really collegiate in terms of everybody who participates in it and the way they're participating in it. It's a professional thing. And for it to be that and be popular, which it is, and to have a postseason where you have just expanded it to 12 teams is asinine. It's completely asinine that's what you have. You know, and there's people arguing on behalf of what was it, last week? I think it was the Missouri coach last week who's saying, people need to get rid of this playoff-itis where if your team doesn't make it, fire your coach and your season's a failure. You can win 9 games. We didn't make the playoff, failure. He said, that's bad. Okay, well, and then I think it was somebody like Herbie who chimed in about how glorious it used to be when, man, you'd win 9 games and go to a New Year's Day bowl and everybody had a great experience. And we need to remember that. No, you don't. That was dumb then, giving everybody consolation prizes. What you need to do is incorporate all those bowl sites, okay, and incorporate it into some kind of bigger playoff. Because if you do that, number one, is it doable? Yeah. Does the calendar allow for it? 100% it does. It's not even a debate on that. 2, would it be more profitable for the bowl sites and locations and cities and venues themselves? Absolutely, it'd be more profitable. It would mean more. Would more people therefore watch them all on TV? Yeah, 100%. Would the players be more into it? Sure. Would you have less opt-outs, quote unquote, that you've seen this rash of the last 3 or 4 years? Because now you're playing in the Outback Bowl, but it's a part of a big, 30-something team playoff or more. Sure, you would have less opt-outs, especially if you do the right thing and recognize that you are running a pay-for-play professional sport. So give the schools the ability to sign them to contracts. Do the mini NFL and everything else. Get rid of the NCAA. Don't need it. It serves no purpose other than it's kind of a financial crutch that the schools and the leagues are leaning on. Get rid of it. It would all be better if you did that. The fact that you only have 12 is asinine. It don't make no sense. As Pete on Oh Brother Art There so eloquently put it. That don't make no sense. All right. Over to the Junction phone. Junction delis all across the state of Mississippi. Fueled by Prince Oil Company. On line 1, it's Brando. Thanks for calling, Brando. What's up?
Matthew, glad to be back off on the 3rd ban from the show. Back for 2 weeks. Glad to be back on. Hey, real quick. Ahmad Hardy, Monticello, Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
If the NIL was not around, if this was 12 years ago, he would not be at Missouri. He would probably be at Ole Miss State, right?
Probably. See, he went to Louisiana Monroe out of high school because the SEC schools in Mississippi didn't want to recruit him.
Well, what an idiot they were. Has any one person ran on you guys 300 yards? Record?
Well, it's his career high. As far as that's a good question. As far as an individual rushing performance of 300 or more, man, I can't remember one. Honestly.
My dad lives in Brookhaven, and he called me after the game. He said he thought he saw him running on 84 down the Monticello still. Hey, I'll let you go, and I'll leave you with one thing.
All right.
Mad Wyatt, get him on 105.9 the zone. Verified check, Twitter X.
Brando. All right. We got to check in and see if Rooster's predictions held up. On line 2 of the Junction Deli phone line, himself, Rooster. How was your weekend? Hey, I heard him try to speak, but all right, go ahead, Rooster. I got you now. Rooster, you there?
I am here.
Okay. How was your weekend?
Yeah, bad to enjoy, I guess.
That's all right.
Yeah, kind of commiserating. Early spread, Egg Bowl, Ole Miss 10.5. I guess I sounds about right. You know, I'm one of those guys that goes by the points. I hedge my bet.
Okay.
I've only missed one all year long. Guess which one that was?
What?
So, Missouri. Of course, I was backed into a corner.
Wait, you're talking about this past
But
weekend?
I don't know. I guess, you know, the thing that's puzzling to me is young Taylor. Why is young Taylor on the bench? What we got to lose now?
Mm-hmm.
Play young Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Shake Bacon is not a winner. You haven't won anything with him. Play young Taylor, roll the dice. Win one game. Be the upset of the week. Ruin Ole Miss's season.
Yeah.
Play young Taylor.
Okay.
It's probably hard to want to play him. Or, yeah, I don't know. But you have no shot with Shake Bacon. It's not going to happen. Play young Taylor. Yeah. He may be a new Cam. You know, he may be, you know, the guy that played for Auburn. I mean, that's who he reminds me of.
Cam Newton. You're having a hard time with names today, aren't you, Rooster?
Yeah. And he's on the bench. Gosh. And he uses in some, I don't know. I'm not going to question Jeff, like you say. He's the coach. We got him. But you pointed out earlier, he's staring at 0-16 without that Razorback meltdown.
Yeah.
Gosh.
And coulda, shoulda, would. You know, it's one of those.
Ole Miss, Alabama, Auburn, Texas, Oklahoma. It's the hardest schedule. There's 3 non-conference games, 9 SEC games.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
It's a whole lot harder than this year. Adding Alabama, hallelujah. I haven't put in my big Bama shirts yet, but anyway. I'm glad you were hurt during that football game, Matt.
Hey, I didn't get hurt. I am sore today. Okay, my throwing shoulder, my throwing shoulder is really sore.
Yeah, I bet you are.
Okay, and I got one knee. I got one knee that's kind of sore because a girl in the 8th grade chased me down and sacked me, and I took a pretty good little fall there, and so yeah, my knees hurt. Oh, I'm sorry. She was in the 7th grade, not 8. She was 7th grade. What? 10th grader.
If, let me ask a question quick. What happens if Texas beats A&M and you got a 4-way tie?
I don't know.
Everybody with one loss.
I think it'd be great. I don't know who would come out on that, but I do. I think it'd be great if Texas beat A&M. What about you?
That's probably what's going to happen.
You think so? Hey, it would be the most. It would be the most Texas A&M thing to ever happen, is to have this kind of year and then lose to Texas at the end of it and find themselves in a 14 tie. I don't know what it would do though. Really, I'm sure it would help Georgia some kind of way. Whether or not they need it, I don't know. That's too far down the road, Rooster. That's for the thinkers. So we'll see when we get there. Appreciate the call, buddy. Good to hear from you.
Thank you. God bless, guys.
God bless you. I mean, how am I supposed to know what the tiebreaker is? Unnamed texter on the country pleasing text line says Oklahoma was a huge win for Ole Miss, but keep in mind their quarterback was just coming off thumb surgery, and his throwing hand reported he was bleeding from the thumb during the game. He was just off that day and still probably a couple of weeks from being healthy. They have looked better the more healthy he's gotten, since that deal. There's no question. And I saw a little bit of their game against Texas when he tried to come back and play, and they couldn't. And he was just not himself at all. I said there's no scenario where they fire Levy right now. Somebody texted in and said, no scenario. Coach Kroom after a 45-0 Egg Bowl. Oh, yes, there's a scenario. No 4 calls involved there. I'm telling you, they're not firing him. Ain't happening. They'll have to fire Selman and him both. That's a whole lot of buyouts and stuff. After 5 wins this year and taking Texas and Tennessee to overtime, and beating Arizona State, and everybody in the country knows where you were when he got the job. You were at the bottom of the pit. There was nobody in the country in worse shape. You hear me? There was nobody in the country in worse shape which for State includes the league they play in, where they were when he got the job. And you think they're going to fire him this year? I'm telling you, anybody who has pumped air into anybody's ideas of a scenario where they fire him this year has lied to you. James in Amory says, to be clear, I'm not advocating for Levy to be fired. I'm just saying if we go out there and lay an egg, no pun intended, and with ticket pricing increasing again next year, they're going to have a hard time filling seats and selling season tickets. I agree with that. I 100% agree with that, James. 100% agree with it. And if you go back and listen to the post-game comments I had after this performance against Missouri, we were wrapping up the post-game. I'm on with Neil, and I just said, in 2 weeks, State, win or lose, has to play well. They have to play well. Because if they go out there and play like this, and it's all kinds of bad mistakes and poor decisions, it's just, you do a few of the good things, a few of the big things good, but then you got all these frazzled edges and all the details. If it's like that again, like it was against Missouri, then frankly, because of the recency thing that we are all, that tendency we all have, any positive momentum and positive feelings about winning 5 games this year and winning an SEC game on the road, you're going to go into the offseason feeling like you have no momentum because of these last 2, whether it's fair or not, Georgia and Missouri, because of getting just run over and through by Arkansas's run game. And if you don't play well in the egg, a lot of that's just going to feel like it's gone. They have to play well to come out of it with the same sense of progress. It's just the nature of the deal. Fred commented, he said, hey, Matt, I think the schedules that changed hit State and Florida the hardest. Florida's proven that changing coaches, adding staff, and paying millions for players certainly hasn't worked out. He says, if you have a manageable schedule, you get a return on dollars and experience. Yeah, and it is like Rooster says, it's about to get tougher. You can play more SEC games going forward. But you know who it's good for? The entity that is paying everybody's salary, that's paying the players' salaries, and that is funding the revenue share. TV. That's what it is, Moose Dog. It's professional entertainment. That's what it is. Nunya says, definitely need some coaching scheme tweaking, need a stronger package for the backup quarterback. Thoughts of giving him more playing time, or you may lose him to the portal like a previous QB in Van Buren. Well, here's where I keep standing on this deal, Nunya. State is awful at times on the offensive line. Whoever plays back there behind them is going to have a certain number of pass attempts that you don't get it off because you get hit. Okay. Not to mention when you play some of these more physical defensive fronts like Missouri, your running backs really can't do much. You run the ball because it's part of your offense, but it doesn't actually give you a whole lot. And the other night, what was it? What was the total? Booth and Bothwell combined for 59 yards rushing, 5'9". Most of the rushing attempts came from quarterbacks. Well, see what I'm saying? So when I look at it, I go, if you had a median offensive line from a protection standpoint and consistency and protection standpoint, then it's shaping all day with spot playing Taylor because he's the freshman and coming along, because you're going to have more chances for Shapen to get the ball off and pump it downfield to these receivers that you have. But that's just not in the cards when you play these more physical defensive fronts, because they get whipped too much up front. And so then it don't matter who's back there, right? When you're trying to throw the ball. So the other thing that I add in there is I go, well, the one thing that you might have at your disposal to offset some of that is when Kamario Taylor's in there and there's And other than when it's empty formation, any other formation gives him the potential that he's going to use that back and mesh with the back and read, and with the potential he may keep it and run it in any down and distance scenario. And he's such a good athlete that sometimes when they do get pressure, he escapes. That because of that, you have to give yourself a chance with that element. And just like I said last week, the only downside of that is the dreaded what if. What if I play him 65 snaps and he gets hurt? In a 5-win year, where the best we could do is get to 6 now. Okay? Because he's the man next year. You see what I mean? Like, there's that what if also. So it's a little bit of a juggling act. And I know that, my tendency is, I think a lot of these coaches' tendency is to go, there is no next year. Just forget about it. That'll take care of itself. What gives us the best chance right now? But again, in the era of every player has an agent, every agent is shopping for a new deal for a raise, either at this school or the next one. You're dealing with some of that. You're dealing with some factors that they've never dealt with before. And it's kind of a moot point on a playoff team. The non-playoff team, they're dealing with all kinds of stuff like that. So I just think, I guess that's why they get paid the big bucks to make that decision, because I would have a hard time making that decision. I'll be honest with you. Rolling along. Stick around.
Designed to be the most powerful iPhone ever.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Yeah.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Well, look at what we have here. Christmas come early. Boom. Little green onion country pleasing. That's not all. Little original smoked sausage flavor. That's not all. Jalapeno and cheddar. It has to be one of my favorite, just judging by how much of that stuff I eat. Oh, can't forget. Andouille. Don't be saying andouille, it's andouille. And last, but not least, pork and pineapple. Bun size, 3 links bun size. Look at that right there. Be careful. Come on with it. It's mine. Come here, jalapeno. Oh, that's all mine. Country pleasing sausage.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Welcome to my photography studio downtown Tupelo. Everybody needs a headshot, especially if you're in the professional world, in sales, any sort of customer related business, outreach business, anything like that. Everybody needs a headshot. Here at my photography studio in Tupelo, we do a lot more than just headshots, but we're kind of focusing on headshots for that very reason, because everybody needs it. Let me show you a little something about it. One thing I'm able to do here is sort of have 2 to 3 different looks in a small space that we can do in a short amount of time. Several different looks and styles of lighting with studio equipment, studio lighting. Some with flash, and a particular look that I've worked on, a constant lighting scenario where you sit down, the lights are already on, you lean in, and we kind of illuminate the whole face. And we get several options in the studio in a short amount of time. Here's 2 priorities for me when I shoot headshots. One is it has to look like you. Okay, none of this fake stuff. The other goal is it's got to look like you at your best. And that's my job as a photographer. And I've got a lot of experience over the years, and I feel really confident I can do that for you. I would love to schedule a session for you here at the studio in downtown Tupelo. I'm above the Reed's Gift Shop, just off of Troy Street, the corner of Troy and Spring. If you can't get to Tupelo, that's okay. Let's talk about it, because we can pack the studio up and come to you if the schedules fit and that sort of thing. I'd love to help you with your headshots. I think everybody needs them. I'm inviting you to please email me, reach out. You can go to my website, mattwyattmedia.com, email address matt@mattwyattmedia.com, and let's talk about your headshot.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi, local agents in all 82 counties. So here's what that means. You have that fender bender, hopefully you don't, but let's say you do, at an odd time. Something goes on. It's Saturday night at 11 p.m. You don't have to wait until Monday morning to call some 800 number and talk to someone 3 states away. You've got your agent's phone number right there on your phone because you go to church with him. Your kids go to school together. He lives right down the road. You see each other at the ball games on Friday nights. So it's personal.
Back with you, I'm Matt, in the Bureau, the Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Staying connected to you because of C Spire. C Spire, the #1 network in Mississippi. Jeffrey said, Matt, why don't we keep playing a Joe Lee 335 when we don't have Fred Smoot, Ashley Cooper, or Pick Prather on the team? Yeah, well, you have who you have. I don't know. There have been times that I think there was a time or two during the Georgia game where I'm watching it going, well, okay, like they are going to run the ball down our throat, especially when we have 3 down and there's maybe 2 more near the box. But the problem with a team like Georgia is they can do whatever. So you kind of have to be honest. That's why they're so hard to defend. They're good enough that if you kind of go overboard and do the Jolie Dunn thing and just man up and come after them with 3 down linemen and a whole bunch of safeties and linebackers, they will complete the ball over your head, and you're trying to keep that from happening. You feel like, if you can keep them from the big play score you got a better chance to get stops in a red zone when the field shortens and you do the bend, don't break thing. And that's kind of where state is when you don't have 2, maybe 3 fire-breathing defensive linemen that you are rotating in and out who can disrupt and kind of do those things on their own. JS290 texted and said Levy was correct in going forward on that 4th down. He needed more possessions to keep up. The defense wasn't going to stop Mizzou had they punted. But they had stopped them some. That's the thing. They had begun to. The first 2 series of the game, defense didn't look competitive. But then all of a sudden they started making plays and getting some stops. And so, in that situation, and I guess the distance, you know what I'm saying, JS290, if there's a chart and you're not paying attention to the position on the field, you're more paying attention to what the analytics say about 4th and 4 versus 4th and 6 or 4th and 7. You see, like the chart says go, and so I guess. Steve on Facebook said, if Ole Miss clobbers us next year, Davis Wade look like a UAB home game. That's one risk that they're running. But, just play well. Spend 2 weeks getting ready and get healed up and play well. Grumpy texted the show, says, Matt, Grumpy agrees with all you stated in hour 1. By the way, Drew Brees made his rookie debut on Fox Football yesterday. Drew was very good in Grumpy's opinion with his color analysis. Very good. Let Grumpy repeat, but not as good as Matt Wyatt. Hail State, he said. Back at you, Grumpy. I appreciate that. Even though I'm laughing. And you laughing too. I guarantee you laughing too. Unnamed texter said, Ole Miss will blow out State, and Selman and Levy will be gone. Quite a few typos in there. But he says it will happen. He says they will blow them out, that they'll fire AD and coach. Jason in Flagstaff, Arizona says, Rooster, Shapen or Taylor says the last week's offensive line is averaging a complete jailbreak. About right. Gets every quarterback hit as soon as they catch the snap, somewhere between every third to sixth play. No quarterback will succeed like that, despite the 40-yard passes or 20-yard run in between the losses. That's what it is. It's a feast or famine because you're just not good up front. And, you know what they had hoped to be up front, kind of got hurt by. You lose one permanently in the first game that transferred in from Virginia, who was going to start for you. And then Reese has been in and out because of injuries throughout the year and some other things, but goodness. It's almost like they've kind of, up front, it's like they've kind of gotten less competitive as the year's gone on. Mela Rebel, country pleasing text line, says, Shapen absolutely gives the Dogs the best chance to win, as Ole Miss has a susceptible secondary. See, and I'm sure that matchup stuff will have a big thing, a big part of that in the decision making on that kind of thing too. And there's going to be some stuff in the scouting that you and I don't know. I haven't spent the time to do it. I have 2 weeks. Well, not a full 2 weeks, I guess, because the Egg Bowl's on a Friday, but close to it. 2 weeks to learn Ole Miss and study and maybe go back and watch a few of their games. It just seems like every Saturday we're either playing, just before them, or and they're starting while we're playing, or they're playing while I'm traveling. I get to the press box and they ending, and I have not seen them play that much. I've seen the scores. QB1 texts the show. He says, our offensive line was better last year and got better as the year went on, especially running the ball. This year, he says, we've been awful all year. The numbers the other night for Missouri were 5 sacks and 13 tackles for loss. They credited them with 4 QB hurries outside of that. Like, what does that even mean? What does the quarterback hurry even mean? Nunya texted the show and said, you got to put your best product on the field. We're playing hotty toddy, for crying out loud. And I think he's talking about playing Kamario Taylor. And honestly, it may come down to that. It may come down to that. I think it really is, who I just think as a coach, you can't think of next year, even though I wonder sometimes if it does. On the player side, maybe sometimes it does. I don't know, but I just don't know how you coach to that. It's got to be, okay, what gives us the best chance to win this game? Especially when you're where State is. And if you pull off some big upset, it would get you into a bowl where you could extend your season, right? And then you really have positive momentum. So I would feel certain that's the priority, and that's how it all is probably being looked at. All right, on the live stream, Hail State fan said, the best thing I saw Saturday was Narduzzi calling a timeout to cut the deficit after saying earlier in the week that he didn't care if they lost by 100 because it wasn't a conference game. Which game was that? Hey, I'm going to tell you a couple of the best things I saw Saturday. Hail State fan. Saturday morning, about 11 miles outside of Columbia, Missouri, out in the country. I mean, in the middle of nowhere, kind of on that eastern delta of the Missouri River there. Like it's flat. Where I went to, even though it's hilly and beautiful, this was one section of land about 11 miles from Columbia that is flat soybean fields. It reminded me of the delta. And standing in the middle of it next to a road is a 400-year-old oak tree. It is 400 years old. We're talking early 1600s when this thing went and popped out of the ground and started growing. Perspective. One place where it's so huge, there's no way to I'm out there by myself. There's no way to measure this thing around or whatever, but I could walk a linear straight line from where one edge of that trunk was going in the ground, one big root and trunk going in the ground to where it goes on the other side. That was 17 feet. Just linearly across the base of where two roots on either end are going in the ground off the edge of the base of this tree. So measure out 17 feet and then think about a tree trunk. Okay. The lower limbs on this thing were as big around as 150-year-old live oak. I don't know how else to describe what I'm seeing here. And what made it even more incredible, the nearest tree to it is about half a mile away. It's by itself. It's incredible. That oak tree was 200 years old when Lewis and Clark went by it over there on the Mississippi River on their deal in the early 1800s. It was already 200 years old then. I saw that. It was just awe-inspiring. I wish everybody could see it. I also went to a really cool town out about 7 miles outside of Columbia called Rocheport. Lots of old buildings and stuff. And the old railroad bed goes through there from the Kansas and Texas Railroad, K&T. So they named it Katy. Now they have a trail on the old railroad bed called a Katy Trail, and it goes through a tunnel that they bore a hole in the mountain there at that particular deal. It's a really neat tunnel and trail and beautiful spot right on the river. I did some of that. Was the coolest thing I saw Saturday. Unfortunately, it was not the football game. True story. A little bit of time left with you when we come back on a Monday. Back after this.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Hey y'all, Matt Wyatt here. Each week on the Mississippi Outdoors Podcast, we talk with the people who live it. Hunters, biologists, game wardens, local celebrities, and storytellers that know Mississippi better than anyone.
Those bass come up there and attack them. You know how mean bass can be there.
You're never going to believe this. Matt Wyatt just talked about your deer on the radio. I said, what did he say? He said, it was Photoshopped. And I said, what?
They don't know anything about hunting. They just have never had that right, that freedom.
Dude, that's us, man. That's what we do. So tune in. Be inspired, and we'll see you outdoors.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Yeah.
Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi. Local agents in all 82 counties. So here's what that means. You have that fender bender, hopefully you don't, but let's say you do at an odd time. Something goes on. It's Saturday night at 11 p.m. You don't have to wait until Monday morning to call some 800 number and talk to someone 3 states away. You've got your agent's phone number right there on your phone because you go to church with him. Your kids go to school together. He lives right down the road. You see each other at the ball games on Friday nights. So it's personal with your local Farm Bureau insurance agent in all 82 counties in this entire state. And if anything does arise and you need to, run it up the chain or up the flagpole, the home offices for Farm Bureau Insurance are in Jackson, Mississippi. It's right here in the state of Mississippi. It doesn't get more local than and personal, the service that you get with Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi. I can't recommend them highly enough. And if you haven't, recently Let them give you a quote. Home, life, auto. It's Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Well, look at what we have here. Christmas come early. Boom. Little green onion country pleasing. That's not all. Little original smoked sausage flavor. That's not all. Jalapeno and cheddar. It has to be one of my favorite, just judging by how much of that stuff I eat. Oh, can't forget. Andouille. Don't be saying andouille, it's andouille. And last, but not least, pork and pineapple. Bun size, 3 links, bun size. Look at that right there. Be careful. Come on with it. It's mine. Come here, jalapeno. Oh, that's all mine. Country pleasing sausage. The Junction Deli's, convenience redefined, and Prince Oil Company, a match made in heaven. The Junction Deli, fueled by Prince Oil Company. Prince Oil Company has been fueling Central Mississippi since 1960. It's a pretty good little while. Wonderful people. Man, am I ever more tickled that they're a part of the show and I'm a part of their team now. As you know, if you listen to the radio show, I've been to the Junction in several different places around the state. I've bought gas just like you at a lot of places that are fueled by Prince Oil Company, and they are really wonderful people. By the way, that brand spanking new Junction Deli. All right, back with you. I'm Matt. Jason in Flagstaff texted in. His phone was breaking up, so he had a question. How hard would it be to run Mullen-esque zone read option or get backs involved in blocking when Taylor's in there so that he and the offensive line can go downhill instead of getting him killed every other play? Yeah, gosh, when you think about it, Jason, you go back early on to like when Ralph was playing for Mullen, they had fullbacks. Remember Patrick Hanrahan? And there were a couple others. Actually, I mean, they were really true fullbacks. And they were in on stuff. And every now and then they'd catch a little waggle pass out of the backfield and keep a defense honest. But for the most part, they were kind of like on the wings and they would motion back and forth. And they'd either block outside or block the backside end. And they were using those guys. But the deal is you got to be good in the middle. You got to be able to fire off and move people in the middle. Or else you're just kind of, tying people up, telegraphing what you're going to do. And when you do throw, you got less options, right? So they're not that kind of offense. They're just not built to be that kind of offense. I tell you, it's a weird thing to make this comparison. I've done it more than once. But there's some parallels there. The situations are different, the teams are different. But if you think about it, Jason, you go back to the transition from Tyler Russell to Dak Prescott. Tyler was the chunk it down the field guy, and he was really good at it. He was really good from the pocket. And at times, Tyler could really put on a show, pumping it down the field from the pocket. And it was a different type of offense when he's playing. It's a little more spread out. You've got a whole lot more four wides than you had before. And that kind of thing. And so while he was there and Dak got there as the young guy, it's similar to what they do with the relationship between the offense with Shapen to when Taylor goes in. Taylor is the running threat, goal line, short yardage situation guy for the most part. Same thing they did with Dak. And then it became transitioning that offense
away from sort of the philosophy you had with Tyler Russell to a different philosophy you were going to have with Dak because of the running ability, right? And it became much harder to defend. And that first, like if you go back and look at 2014, there was a lot less throwing the football, reading whole field, throwing the football with like 4 wides. That was more of spread the field and then read the box type of thing. But it varied greatly with Dak when they made that. It was still a running offense. And when they would, you go back to 2014, and when they would go empty, oftentimes going empty was to spread the field, force a defense to spread the field formation because you might throw it, knowing really this is so that we can get fewer people in the box to run the quarterback. I mean, out of empty, no lead blocker. It's just 5 offensive linemen and either zoning it right or left, and he picks the lane based on, the next level. Very effective. And so I just, I could see the same thing going. It's different abilities, different stages of their career, similar deal to how you're using the young guy now, the way you use the young guy then. And, let's go assumptions here. This is Shapen's last year and Camario's with you next year. It probably does transition from 25 to 26 from a scheme standpoint, similar to the way it transitioned back in those days from 2013 to 2014. Be interesting to watch and be like, well, we've seen this before. Humphreys County Dog said, do you ever think about a career in coaching or an analyst role? I have thought about it. When I say thought, like I've not really thought about the coaching part of it. I told that story before. Initially in college, I was going to major in teaching coaching and go into coaching. And then decided I didn't want to for different reasons and changed it to sports communication. The analyst thing, I do think that would interest me. I mean, I would, to where you're just a soldier. You're not a sergeant. All your job is to, sit in front of the screen and break down film and scout opponents or scout yourself. I think I would absolutely love that. I mean, I really think I would absolutely love it. And it doesn't pay much because there's no pressure in it. In that, I would enjoy doing it. And, I've had a few conversations before. It's not something that really the Lord's just kind of led me into and opened the door. When I was young let me do the math on this. I can figure out how old I was. Hang on. How old would I have been? Hang on a second. I don't want to out anybody. Hang on. Would I have been 30? Yeah. So I was about 30 when I actually had the head coach, had an opportunity to consider coaching at the junior college level, and even an opportunity to maybe even consider just jumping in both feet and try to be a head coach. But I just, it was one of those that I knew that was not right. And I also felt like there were other people that had spent a lot of years in coaching and working towards that. And, to have someone like me just jump into it, it just didn't seem right. So, I guess it's one of those where, I don't know. If I'm not careful, I'll talk it into something that it's not. It's just, no, I hadn't really ever flipped a switch and decided, yeah, I'm going to go down that route and I'm going to do it. Yeah. It's, because to a fault for me, it has to be like all in or out. It's black and white. Like 100% in is good. 100% out is fine. At least it's in or out, but sort of halfway doing things, I just don't believe in it. So at this point, I've just always been out. But I do think, I think the on-field part of it, if I look at let's say high school, for example, man, I think the on-field part of it, working with other coaches, from a camaraderie standpoint, also the experience you get to have being on a team with other men, other guys, and coaching with them and working on that. I think that would be awesome. Getting to work with younger players to help them improve and then see them have success. I just think it would be great. It would. I mean, it really would be a lot of fun, but I think it's all the other stuff. And from a college standpoint, like I think at some point I decided there's just no way I could recruit. There's just no way I could do it. I couldn't. It's impossible. It would be impossible for me to recruit at all. I'd be the worst recruiter in the history of it, because it's like it's sales, but you can't really say what you think. Can't really tell the truth. We just got to sell it. And then once it's sold and everybody's locked in, then we can, as those coaches would say, you've heard Nick Saban talk about it, then you have to de-recruit people. Well, to me, like, there's just no way. So that'd be a non-starter for someone like me. Now, how about this? Okay, this is going way back. Somebody texted in and said that they attended their first Egg Bowl in 1970. And it was Joe Reed and the Bulldogs upset the Rebels 19-14 in Oxford. Joe Reed, who played for the 49ers, right? Joe Reed, who went and played for the 49ers and wrote like it was a musician, wrote a song and sang it. Didn't he? And like, he had some of the 49ers cheerleaders, like his backup singers and stuff. You're talking about a neat story now. That's cool. 1970. Oh, man, Jason, great picture. First real snow on the mountains across the road for the winter. He's out there in Flagstaff, Arizona. Look at that little panorama of snow-capped mountains. Whew, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I'd love to see that. I tell you what, it was beautiful up there in Missouri this past weekend in terms of foliage and kind of the phase that it is in right now. And the weather was perfect. And it was a fun trip from that respect. All right. Kind of all over the place today, but that's fine. We will wrap it up, come back tomorrow, and do it again. I'll be in the home Farm Bureau Insurance Studio tomorrow in Jackson with good old buddy, old pal Beeve. Looking forward to that. And, yeah, we'll see what we get into in the Bureau. Thanks for tuning in. For Beaver, I'm Matt. All of us here on the show. We'll see you tomorrow. See you.